Alright, so last episode we went over doing the side hoops. Now we're going to move on to doing the roof bars, which one of the roof bars is connecting the two side hoops together. So the first thing to go over, of course, are the rules. Okay, now besides what are in the rules, you got 3 criteria to look out for when you're building your main roof bar that's connecting the two side hoops together. So the first criteria is to give clearance. Now I've been in a lot of professional drift cars before, Pro 2 competition cars. One of them in particular, it had a low-hanging roof bar that connected the two side hoops together, and that was just extremely annoying because whenever you're doing any video work inside the car, it was basically impossible to actually record ahead of you and record the track without the lens or the microphone hitting the roof bar because it was hanging down so low. So for my case in particular, I want to make sure I tuck that up so that is never an issue. The second criteria to go over is to make sure, again, same thing with giving the clearance, is to not block any vision. A lot of roof bars that actually hang low and they'll actually cover part of your windshield, the top half of it. So you want to try and tuck it up above that windshield line so it doesn't block any visibility. And number 3 is to try and tie the roof bar to the bends of the side hoop, because basically bends are the weak points in any structure. So when you have bends in your roll cage, you want to always try and reinforce when possible to the bends. So we're going to try and tie the roof bar to the bent section of the side hoops, which will make the weak parts stronger. So the roof bar is super easy. It basically just connects the two pieces together. So for mine, I'm going to have it bent so it tucks up super high. So I mocked up with my templates inside the car, and I figured that I was probably going to need 2 30-degree bends in my roof bar in order to tie it up and tuck it up really high. But of course, I underbent it to 25 degrees each to start out with to see how that was, and it ended up actually being pretty good. I leveled it out, second bend. Pretty simple concept. You put 2 bends in it, then after that go to tube coping calculator on metalgeek.com. You use the the whole notching thing, put 2 notches in the ends of the tubing, 90-degree notches, put it up in there, kind of just force it in with like a little rubber mallet, and that's basically it. Okay, so after just trimming it like 20 bajillion times, got it to fit up, and that's basically where it's fitting up. It's gonna tuck all the way up right there. Now this is basically inside the car how it looks. It tucks up super high, so it gives you as much headroom as possible. On top of that, it actually makes contact with the roof right here, so I'll be able to weld from this top bar to the roof support along this little edge right here. So that's about 2 inches. So that's gonna make the cage extremely strong because it's gonna tie into the chassis. Same thing with over here. It also connects really close to the bent area of the side hoop, and as you know, bends are basically the weak points in any structure, so you always want to try and tie in, if possible, to the bends. So I could have made it a little bit lower here, but I tried to push it up as high as possible so I can get it right near that bend, which I did. Then of course this is a 25-degree bend, 25-degree bend, and then just 2 notches which were like offset a little bit. But that turned out really, really nice. I really like how that came out. So with that done, I basically just prepped it for welding and then tacked it in place. All the edges are prepped. They're taken down to bare metal. Same with the roof. Roof is taken down to bare metal in the areas they're going to be welded to, and I can just tack it in place now. And there you go, me mateys. That's tacked into place now. I can move on to something else. That's really, doesn't that look sick? Oh dude, that looks sick, right? Yeah, that's pretty sick. Alright, now for formula drift, that is all you need as far as your roof brace goes. You just need 1 bar that connects the 2 side hoops together. Now for me, I'm going to go above and beyond that, and that's just for my personal comfort. So the next step is going to be the optional, as I call it, roof bar, which I'm going to go over right now. And the next thing I'm going to do is do a roof support that's going to go down the center right here. Now as it is, this roof is perfectly fine for formula drift. However, I just feel it's a little bit unsafe. You know, let's say if I were to roll over and there would be like a large boulder that size right there, right? It would just come tearing through the sheet metal roof. So I really want to have some type of roof support in the center to prevent anything from coming inside in the event of a rollover. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be doing 2 straight bars. So it's going to be connecting from the main hoop down to that forward brace for the side hoops. Now, that's just my personal design. That's not exactly the safest or strongest design. The safest design would be going from corner to center and then from center back to corner again. Or you can do it from the opposite. You can do it from that corner to the center. And that's the safest because it's going to go basically right atop your head. But that's also the exact reason which I don't want to do a brace there, is because it's going to be running right over my head and it's going to be taking away my headroom. And again, it's not even needed for formula drift regulations. This is kind of something I'm doing. And so I think it's going to be adequate enough putting a center brace right there, because I don't want to be hitting my head on a bar every time I get in and out of a car. Or if I just sit up a little bit, I don't want to smack a bar right there. So there you go. Those are the decisions between doing 2 center braces. Pretty simple setup as usual. Took some measurements, then ended up cutting the tube to size and then put some notches in it, and that was pretty simple. Just gonna measure across right here. Oh, it's just a little over 2 feet. About 27.5 inches center to center. And for the 2 braces here, it's pretty easy. We just do 2 90-degree notches on them. Really, really simple. Okay, so if you're curious just how one of the roof supports look, that's how it's going to be. It gives quite a bit of clearance away from the driver's head. As you can see, the side hoop actually comes a lot closer to the driver's head, and I still have plenty of clearance with my helmet on from the side hoop. So putting a double there, I should still be able to maintain tons of head clearance, considering that with my helmet on, I'm still plenty far away from the side hoop. So with the 2 roof bars trimmed up top, I then prepped everything for welding, which included removing the glue residue that was left from the OEM dome light support on the roof. So I took a wire wheel to that, removed that. That's smooth now. After that, I then hit it up with some primer just so it wouldn't gain any surface stress by the time I actually painted the rest of the car. And then number 3 is I just took everything else down to bare metal, which is going to be welded, so that way it could actually get welded. I'll just take my Scotch-Brite pad right here, right? Okay, there you go. See? Any and all overspray right there is now gone. I'll hit that back up with acetone and then get ready to weld. So what I'm going to do now is hammer these bars into place and then measure them out to be even. Okay, this is going to take a while. And then I just tacked everything into place as per usual. I'm going to very, very gently walk in here and tack it in place just because I cross-checked all the measurements to like within 1/16 of an inch, and I really don't want to mess it up right now. Okay, so those are those pieces welded in now. So they're 6.5 inches apart. I wanted it fairly wide just because the wider it is, the closer it gets to me, which means more protection when in a rollover. On top of that, it gives me more room to put switches in between. So this was a good compromise, I think. That actually looks pretty sweet right there. And as you can tell, this is where my head is going to be at when I'm driving, right there. And those roof supports are much farther away than the side hoops are, and I don't even touch the side hoops in my head. I already tested it. I sat in there. There's plenty of room everywhere. So that's that. It takes up absolutely no visibility. You can't even see it from the front of the car. You have to go all the way down, all the way, and then you can barely just start seeing it all the way from there. So really good, I like that. No visibility taken whatsoever, can't even see it. So for that roof support, it basically starts off as a 4-foot piece of tubing, and then you have 5 3/4 inch from the center. You're going to start one of the bends, 5 3/4 inch to the other side. You're going to start the other side bends. They're both level to each other. They're both 90-degree notches at the ends. Okay, and they're both bent to 25 degrees. So it's 25 degrees, 25 degrees. And then the 90-degree right there just kind of has to be turned in a certain way. And that's basically how that roof support is made. Okay, so that covers up doing the roof bars. The next thing you're going to be doing is, I believe, the main diagonal for the main hoop as well as the harness bar. So that's going to be in the next episode. Now, of course, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can buy some stickers, offbeatgarage.com. I have a whole bunch of merchandise over there. Number 2 is, of course, whatmonstersdo.com. They provide us with all these super sexy shirts. So, of course, whatmonstersdo.com, use the coupon code LEDRIFT. You get 15% off. Other than that, if you have any comments or questions, leave them in the comments, and then I'll respond to you, usually if you have a question. Of course, like and subscribe and all that sort of stuff. And, yeah, that's it. So, see you guys next time.